Hello! Welcome to episode 86 of A Fern Between Us.
We're already starting out. The two of us are two of the four owners of Vivac Winery in Dixon, New Mexico. My name's Jesse.
And I'm Michelle, and as you'll see, we don't have a fern between us. We have a fern on the side.
Do you see this leaf over here, maybe? It fits into the, I don't know, we'll see.
And as promised, we are finally doing the vodka versus gin challenge. Taste-off.
This has been a popular one. I guess people, they're into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down. I'm down with some gins.
And I have a feeling that I'm going to do better with this than when we did the whiskey tasting, and that was really difficult, but people really enjoyed watching me suffer, so thanks, guys. But as we get started, let's do a quick little check-in. We do have some questions, but we're also going to tell you what we learned about vodka and gin, and then share with you 3 gins, 3 vodkas. So it's going to be fun. Hopefully you have something in your glass, and hopefully it's a vodka or gin drink of some sort.
Or if not, then it should be a Vivac wine.
Yeah, damn it. All right, so let's check in a little bit. We had our first picking party.
Oh, yeah.
And that went really well. And
it did.
We have way more grapes than you anticipated, right?
Yeah, we've got, we only got about 2/3 of it picked, and that came back with over 3 tons, I believe. And so that's fermenting away. We're going to pick the rest of it this coming Monday. And here we go. We made
That's amazing. So this is the most Gruner you've ever gotten, right?
Oh, by far, yeah. Which is good. We need, we keep running out. We keep getting close to running out. And I think this year is going to be a good one. It's tasting great already. So.
Oh, that's so exciting. Love it.
Yeah.
And so do you anticipate that you're going to have need more people, more pickers, more time?
We're not doing a picking party. We're just gonna we've hired a few people to help us, and hopefully we can get through most of it in not too long of a day.
Right? Yeah. While we absolutely love everybody's hard work with the picking party, it's so much more work than you anticipate it's going to be.
I didn't realize you were going to start with a drink, so I'm going to start with a drink.
I told you I was starting with a drink.
I know, but I slammed mine before the camera started, so I'm going to start here, and then we'll do our tasting here in a second. Yeah. We have all these on ice, by the way, just so that we can taste them straight without ice.
And that's the way you're supposed to technically do a tasting, have it. So we're going to try it that way. But,
anyway, sorry, back to the...
So as much as we love everybody coming out and picking, it is so much more work than anybody anticipates. And so there is some component that you can't be out there forcing people to bleed in the vineyard however we did. How many was it? 4?
I think at least 2 plus me, so at least 3 of us, but it might have been 4 people bled.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
So that means, we have some people that cut themselves as they're trying to, cut the grapes, but that doesn't get you out of picking. So then they had to just Band-Aid up and go back.
Yeah, only for a minute. I carry Band-Aids in my pocket now, so it's just like, boom. Back to work, And
the next picking party is on the 24th of this month. And, as always, these things sell out very quickly. And we do try to give you guys as much notice as possible. I don't know what else we can possibly do because we pick the dates. And usually it's a month out. I mean, we have to get kind of close so that we can judge.
Yeah.
And then
we're still wrong.
And then it's, within 24 to 48 hours, they're sold out. And we do have our email list, so please get on that email list. You could just sign up for our newsletter and things like that. Anyway, so you had your biggest crushing day yesterday.
Yep. We received 13 ton of Sangiovese from down south, and so we had to press off all the rosé, which we ended up with maybe 1,200 gallons. and then
Is that going to be enough?
No, and then we took all the skins from the pressed off juice and put that in our Sangiovese fermentation. So the Sangiovese will be nice and robust. And
you like it robust, huh?
At least bust something.
Busty?
Something. Something.
Can you start calling wines busty? This wine is very busty.
Wasn't that one of the descriptors you used for Buxom Blonde back in the day?
Well, yeah, but I mean, that was a pinup, and there was a different...
The wine wasn't busty necessarily.
Oh, Red Hot Mama. That was a fun time.
Right?
Red Hot Mama and Buxom Blonde, Vixen, and Riveting Rosie. Oh my God, they were so much fun. Right. That was great. That was a lot of fun to play with. All right, so before we move on to our history lesson or something, information section, one more thing I want to just remind everybody is that we still have happy hour on Saturdays with live music and karaoke on Fridays, and that's going to go all the way through the end of October. So don't forget to keep coming out and enjoying it. And now it's a little bit cooler. Well,
actually, we're getting into prime wine drinking season right this second.
It's always wine drinking season.
It always is, but it's even more prime now. I like it when it's less than 80 degrees out. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
No, I totally agree. You're right. All right. So now, what did you learn about gin? Because we did do a very small serious, kind of jump in and collect some information so that we could not.
Do you want me to go gin and vodka, or do you want to go vodka first? Because I feel like vodka comes first.
Okay. I feel like Jesse actually, I was up and down all day. I did a little bit of research yesterday, and Jesse did a deep dive, so I have a feeling he's going to do a better job than
a deep dive, come on.
I came up with. But let's see, I have some fun things to share. So, of course, there's people really recognize vodka as Poland, Russia, Sweden.
Okay.
In the history of where it kind of came from, right? And so it originated, they think, sometime in the 1700s, but there's mention of it before that, and possibly quite a bit different than anything that we know it really as our modern kind of vodkas. They were all fermented cereal grains or potatoes, but now modern vodkas can actually be using fruits, honey, maple sap. Like there's a variety of base substances that you can then...
Just about anything, really.
Yeah, which is really interesting.
Anything you can ferment, which is all things, because if it has starch or sugar... If it's starch, you can turn the starches into sugar. So that's even like wood. You could probably make it out of wood chips if you wanted to.
Weird.
I know. Or sugars, which is any of the vegetables or the fruits, right? So anything like that you can ferment, and then anything you can ferment has alcohol in it. You can distill that alcohol off, and you can get, the base is going to be a vodka, basically. But vodka is
neutral.
A neutral spirit.
Yes. And so that was what they were originally, a lot of times it was used as a medicine, right? Medicinal purposes. And so a lot of times you ended up with various flowers or herbs being added because of those properties, and thinking that, if you have this, that, and the other, that it could heal certain things or ailments that you were having. So it was used a lot that way. And then Poland actually has some amount of historical notation that goes back to the Middle Ages. So even though there's debate that is it Russia or Poland that really invented it, there's mention, but Poland is supposedly the first that started to use it side by side with their meals.
Oh, okay.
And that, I think, is a pretty interesting component, because I don't think of vodka as being what I'm going to drink with my meal, per se. But
they use it that way in the Slavic states. I mean, a lot. Like, you
right?
know, I mean, it's there. It's sitting there, maybe a little
I thought
hot.
it was, yeah,
almost,
I thought it
but
like started the evening and finished the evening,
Oh,
but this was
interesting.
actually like with the meal, which is kind of interesting.
Okay.
And so then Russia is attributed to what we know as kind of our vodka of today. A monk redefined the distillation recipe, and that's why it is more akin to what we know. So that's why a lot of people recognize Russia as being
The founders.
the founders, exactly. But they also started to refer to it as the burning wine. So a lot of cultures have different words that recognize it as burning wine. And it's actually a Slavic word voda, meaning water, that they think started to transform and has since over time given us vodka.
Okay.
There's a story about an English translation from a German traveler who went to a place, and then that's how we got vodka. But
She says she didn't do a deep dive. Come on.
I like these words. You know me, I like to geek out on that part. So then...
She took notes. I don't have notes.
well, I can't remember shit. My brain is like not going to keep this
Maybe
from
it's all
just
that
yesterday.
vodka.
Yes, vodka. Sweden had a grain shortage, which is why they started using potatoes.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. I mean, to like know that. And Absolute vodka, actually, they busted into the scene in 1979 in New York and became this really big world vodka power. Can I say that? I don't know.
Vodka power.
Vodka power. They are considered
Absolute still exist?
Absolute vodka. Oh yeah,
Oh, no way.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's considered the #1 purchased vodka.
Okay. Oh, whoa. Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I thought so too. It's not to my particular palate, but yeah. They also started working with artists, being in New York, you know. So the bottle is actually the shape of like an 18th century medicine bottle, which is interesting. I didn't know that. But their very first artist was Andy Warhol, who is one of my favorites, which is really cool.
Warhol.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a local artist here in Dixon that was actually named as an absolute. It was called Absolute Brendan. Bob Brendan had an absolute bottle. Yeah. Back when we were, you know, when you and I were like 10 or 12 or whatever.
What?
And I remember. I mean, he has the, you know.
I totally have to look into that.
You're gonna have to take your art's gonna take off, and he's like, and then never did, of course, but. You know.
Well, they've had 550 artists since Andy Warhol.
And he's one of them here in Dixon. That's crazy.
That is so cool.
I just assumed it was like everybody in the world. That's crazy. Only
No,
550, and he's one of them. That's cool.
It's a big deal. So that's really cool. Let's see. So then, the other thing real quick about Absolute is that they actually have roots dating back to 1879. So it wasn't just they branched out into America, but you know.
Okay.
And then there's Smirnoff, which is the oldest brand, which is kind of interesting. But Smirnoff was a Russian man who fled from Russia, and now it's a British-owned company that makes the vodka in the USA and Canada.
Are we going to taste some of these or what?
No. We're not tasting anything. I'm telling you all about my things I learned. Well, so let me get to Stoli.
All right.
and then we'll taste Stoli. Okay. So Stoli
I'm going to start pouring it if you don't mind.
Yes, please. Thank you. We because we got the big bottles. These are kind of your staple brands. You know, they're not the like delicacy kind of.
Trying to keep them cold, and we didn't want to chill down these two big bottles.
Yeah. So we used our cute little flasks.
This one's from Tri-Delta. Delta. Can I help you?
What can I say? What's up, ladies, my sisters? So Stoli is actually made from corn and buckwheat, so it's a gluten-free vodka.
No kidding.
And started in 1938 and was Russian, but he fled, and
Oh, he was Jewish, you said.
no,
Oh, sorry.
and and now they make the vodka in a cathedral in Latvia. And they just dedicated a bottle art, because they're another one that does a lot of bottle art, to the Ukraine movement. And all of the profits go to a nonprofit organization to give hot meals to all the refugees and people needing food. So that's really cool.
That is cool.
All right, what do you think of Stoli?
Now we'll get into my criticisms of vodka in general.
Yeah, totally. That's what we're here for.
But to me, it just it's just a hint. But the only hint I get is kind of like it's almost like rubbing alcohol, which means rubbing alcohol's primary thing is ethanol. Obviously, we're trying to take that off during the distillation process. But all vodkas come across as some kind of alcohol to me, and it's just not. I'm not getting enough there to make me attracted to it. You know what I mean? And so it's clean and light and viscous. I like the viscosity.
Ooh, evidently, ethanol clusters cluster together differently in different vodkas, and that actually creates stimulation in different parts of your palate, and that's brand to brand.
Oh my God, that's crazy. And I just said ethanol and viscosity.
I know. You kind of know what you're talking about.
I had not heard that ever before, and that I feel good about that.
So to me,
so this is basically a classic, like a solid classic. Could be somebody's well vodka, but it's like a high quality well.
Usually isn't. Yeah,
exactly, because it would cost more. But it's Stolichnaya. Stolies, we keep calling it. It's Stolichnaya.
They have actually changed their name to Stoli.
They just are
so
Stoli.
that they aren't associated with Russia.
Jeez, yeah. Well, I don't blame them. Not to get political. I'm sorry. Anyway. But it's it's nice. I mean, it's a great foundation. To me, it's a great foundation for
building
something on it. It's any number of whatevers.
To me, see, I am in the camp that they do taste different, and I think that this has a sweetness to it that gives it a softness. And as I'm learning about this, because I never really knew, but I would articulate to Jesse, I don't particularly like Absolute because it's got a harshness to it. And I really like Stoli because it's soft and there is a little sweetness. I know it's hard to imagine saying that a straight vodka is sweet, but if they have corn as a base, there is a natural sweetness, softer, aspect to it. And potatoes are evidently the most flavorful if you're going to make it out of that.
Interesting. And the vodka I made with a friend of mine, Jesse Cook, was made out of rye.
Oh yes, which gives it a little spice.
Which is a very common thing, and it gives it a little bit of spice and kind of a weird sweetness. And it turned out that we were trying to figure out what to make it out of, and Michelle, being the super taster, we were like, you know what vodkas do you like? We'll make whatever. And she listed brands, and her very favorite brands happened to all, like two or three of them, and they all happened to be made out of rye. So we made one out of rye, and it was gorgeous. So I don't know. Maybe that's a good base to do it out of.
Right? Well, and I like that Stoli does too. It's buckwheat and corn.
Tito's is your next?
Tito's is my next. So Tito's, most of the people, at least through the Southwest, really know Tito's because this is was the first, how they say it? They say it's the first legal distillery in Texas. How funny is that? But it's Austin, and it's.
Is it not George Clooney? Is that Tito's? No, he has what?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But
it's not Tito's. Somebody famous owns Tito's.
Really?
I thought so. Maybe not.
Julie, quick. You're watching. Tell us. Let's see.
Oh my gosh.
So this is copper pots. So that's another thing that a lot of them, I couldn't figure out exactly what the issue was, or not issue, what they were using, but copper pots versus a column still. There's all these like nuances. So this is copper pots and corn. So again, it's a gluten-free vodka.
Mm-hmm. It's less ethanol-y than that one. Also a little less sweet. But tastes hotter to me. It's
Ooh.
like it's got to be
more
higher in alcohol. I have no idea. But
So they're all citing their sources
40% too.
for water. So water is
Yeah.
a really key component. They talk
Yep.
a lot about the water source and how the water really affects it, which is pretty interesting, I think.
yeah. But do you see how do you see the heat that I'm talking about? The burning.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's more neutral. It's more neutral.
It's much more neutral.
It's less flavorful.
I get less on the nose.
Yeah, I actually like Stoli's better, and in my estimation, just because there's something to grab onto. But that's what I'm looking for, is something.
Well, so I
Not
prefer.
nothing. This is more nothing.
Right? Stoli is my go-to if I'm just gonna have it with a squeeze of lime or an olive. You know, I usually add something. I don't usually drink it just straight.
Yeah.
Straight. But
A little vermouth or a little like
I'm not a big vermouth
not
fan.
a martini, not a vodka martini person.
I am a vodka martini person that likes it dry and dirty. So some olive,
Extra olive,
but not vermouth.
but not vermouth.
Yeah. So
A whisper of vermouth.
if you get into one of those little spritz
Like one spritz
in the glass.
and then dump it out if there's any extra.
Yes, that is the perfect amount.
Okay.
And you know, like I taste a difference. I smell a difference.
Yeah.
This makes an excellent Bloody Mary, actually.
So most people,
There's a spice.
there is a spice in there. You're right. So
Look, he's tasting the vodkas. Yes.
But basically, vodka it's vodka mostly drunk on its own, or mostly as a mixer. Obviously, stateside.
It's mostly
we're
we're mostly mixers, but predominantly people actually drink it on the rocks in a martini or neat. True aficionados drink it. It's in the freezer, and then they just drink it neat. Mm-hmm. But it is a third of the sales of all the alcohol in the United States is vodka.
So it's probably the number one selling spirit, right?
It is.
Spirit? Yeah,
absolutely.
So.
And
I mean, it's the biggest mixer. It's the thing that you want for a neutral spirit in which to leave your imprint.
Well, and you can really
means.
make it into whatever you would like. It doesn't matter what your flavor profile is. We can add juice. We can add sour things. We can and
spice, whatever you're looking for.
And you can also
your vodka drink is going to mix with whatever you're going to eat or whatever your mood is that day or whatever the hot, cold, whatever.
You can also make some of the best sangria by adding vodka into your wine-based fruit jungle juice. What?
And that's what exactly. That's what I would do every time. And Everclear, is that basically non-watered down vodka? I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Well, 100%, right? All right, so next, I'm having problems with my wrist. I'm going to let you go ahead and do that.
You got it.
So
Rolling
the final
Still.
vodka is a local vodka. It is from Taos. It's Rolling Still. It is owned by two women who were best friends. And so I'm excited to taste this. They are all about the essence of Taos.
Ooh.
So they source the water from up in the mountains, 11,000 feet. And they talk about how
by the ski valley or where?
Yeah, the source goes through the mountains, and it takes 75 years to come out through a spring, and so it's now been purified or filtered. They use filtered, which is interesting. They also are gluten free. So
Have you
time
tasted
to
it
time,
yet?
No, I'm time to time gluten-free, and I'm really trying to stick with it right now. It makes me feel better. I know I'm a pain in the butt. I get it. Nobody wants to hear from gluten-free people, but I appreciate that there's these awesome options that are.
To me,
Whoa!
To me, this has tons of beautiful flavor.
This has tons of aromas.
Yeah, I like this so much better than the other two. If I'm gonna drink a neat vodka, I would choose this 100 times out of 100. Because it's so neat.
Oh my god, I get so much blueberry.
There's lots of florality. There's
blueberry?
lots of way more viscosity even than the first one.
So one of the
I get
there's fruits and flowers and
exactly
and herbs,
and
but
it's,
none of it's it's not infused. This is just they're straight.
Do you know what kind of grain they've used, or what their base by chance? I mean, you don't have to.
They did not say. I couldn't find on their website what they're using, but they did say it was gluten free. I'm guessing corn.
It's round and smooth. I mean, we do grow corn here in northern New Mexico, of course. You know,
maybe they even get it from the Pueblo.
It could be but the to me that I like that a lot better than just pure. I mean, obviously, different drinks. You're gonna make a different drink out of each of these, but
yes.
You know, ideally,
I agree.
You could use any of them for any of them, and it would be fine. But
which is what my stance has been.
Is
there is interest in difference.
Exactly. And my guess is they've not distilled this like the fourth time or whatever. Maybe they did 3 distillations or something, or 2.
Almost like caramel.
But it's,
oh my gosh.
I mean, it's so like, I mean, it's not sweet, but there's so much roundness and sweetness.
Sweet aromas.
Yeah.
It's really pretty amazing. And so one of the things that I was also going to say is that this is a new movement to move just a step past neutral, so that you're no longer creating an absent drink that then you add things afterwards, but that it's actually an expression of the area, which is really cool.
To me, there's a place for that. To me, there's a total place for that, and I think I would get into vodkas way more if I could have more of those, and maybe I can now that I know that's out there.
And I think it's pretty interesting, and I love that there's these very subtle nuances that really make a difference in the vodkas. And there's plenty of you out there that, you know, said there is no difference in vodka. That's why you drink gin. Well, there is. So
there definitely is. There definitely is. I'll attest to that.
Yes.
And you don't have to be the best palate in the universe in order to taste differences in vodkas. They are definitely different. Most of that is the base product, that the original fermentation product source of starch usually, and the water, and then the number of distillations. That's basically what you're looking at, and then the type of still you're using. I guess it's those 4 things.
I know, right? I know.
But that's it.
Okay.
I'm going to call that it.
All right, let's move on to gin. Okay. What have you got?
So gin is basically vodka, but then you get that neutral spirit that was probably one of the vodka things. Usually a grain, almost always a grain originally. Now it's lots of different stuff, but originally almost always a grain. And then on your last distillation, you can either pre-soak, like it's a tea. Basically,
I was just going to say, tea.
It's a tea. So you can either soak botanicals in the tea, most of which is juniper, or let's call it 50% of whatever you're soaking in there is usually juniper.
And why? Why juniper?
All right, so juniper dates back 2,000 years as a home remedy of starting in Greece of lots of things. Like it was supposed to be a healing this and that for, the Greeks thought it, the Romans thought it. And then whenever they started doing, like you said, the tinctures, in a neutral spirit, often it had juniper in it. And that was... it could have been anything, but I've already finished that. Here, watch. You can pour another one though.
Okay.
So juniper became the.
Hey, that's the vodka.
Oh, sorry, that one.
He doesn't have a special tried out one.
Mine's a special Scotch one, and as it happens, the British were one of the first. The British and the Dutch were the first ones really to start doing gin a lot as a drinking non-medicine. So it started out as a medicine, and then at some point around 500 years ago, they split up and they were like, you know what? We like this, just like vodka. They started putting it at the table.
Talk about juniper. Woo.
Right? And juniper is the one thing. Gin, the word gin comes from the word Genève, or Genèvre in French, which means juniper. And so the French word for juniper became the shortened word for gin in general. Anyway, so they started putting gin, and then anything else also. Whatever you think you want to do as a distiller, they try it and it works, right? So a lot of things have citrus. A lot of things.
I was going to say this seems a little citrus.
Right? They have oranges, lemons, limes, grapefruit. Those are all kind of big ones. There's also lots of the herbs from teas. There's also chamomile is a common one, or whatever. Most distilleries use somewhere between 4 to 20, 4 to 15. Let's call it 4 to 15. Between 4 and 15, or 5 and 15 different ingredients or whatever.
Okay.
Gordon's only has 5, and so. Juniper is the main one, but these ones actually do. Gordon's actually does ginger and nutmeg.
Oh,
not many people do that.
That's really interesting.
This is a London dry gin, basically, and that's like the main style that you're gonna get.
Cool. It's really actually pretty nice. It's very smooth. It's very easy drinking.
Yeah.
And some of them get too intense for me.
Super
junipery, or like just so herbaceous that with the high alcohol, I have a hard time with that.
I just love this. So anyway, in the 1800s, it was the gin. The Londoners or the British were getting way too excited about gin, and they started drinking way too much, even though it tasted like crap back then, or literally like piss, because they pissed in it sometimes. Apparently.
That is making my point, not your point.
But it doesn't do that anymore. Nobody does that. Of course they don't do that. But
maybe that's a secret family recipe.
The British started. They passed a bunch of laws against it, trying to like eliminate how many people could make it and this and that, make it like a licensed process. And there was riots, literally, there was almost a war basically, because within England, just because of they wanted to slow down. The death rate rose above the birth rate because they were drinking so much. I don't know. Prohibition also saw a lot of bad gin. So it's gone in and out of favor in lots of different areas.
Well, because then you got a bunch of homemakers, right? Like making it in their bathtub kind of thing.
It's moonshine. It's moonshine, and like they had bathtub gin because it was
That's what I said, made it in the bathtub.
Well, sometimes it was fermented in the bathtub, maybe. It's hard to prove that, but they called it bathtub gin because they kept bottling it in these really tall bottles that couldn't fit in your sink, so you had to fill up the topping water in the bathtub. So I don't know, but also, well,
I know that they made wine in bathtubs,
right? And so a
lot of immigrants did,
exactly, and so they were that's probably the wine they were distilling more than the wine they were drinking, and so that was bathtub gin then, and then I don't know.
What's our next, while you're telling us more? Okay,
so then we've got the one that I sort of consider my favorite. There's so many good gins. It's hard to say. I have not opened this yet, so sorry, guys. So then you get into more delicate stuff, like so. This one's gonna have a lot more citrus and florals.
Ooh.
The
it sounds
that Gordon's
so lovely.
does not. Oh yeah, it's really cool.
He threw the trash on the floor.
Cucumbers, stuff like that is like a common thing. This does not have cucumbers, but
and that's interesting because I like putting cucumbers in my vodka.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm not. I'm learning to appreciate gin today.
Here, watch you go first.
Oh.
So you can either do it as a tea bag in the in the grain
Don't
alcohol.
teabag it.
In the neutral spirit before.
I don't know that I should have this much.
Right before it goes through the still, or you can put the your botanicals in a gin basket at the top of the still,
Nice basket.
where the steam goes through, the alcohol steam goes through, just passes through the botanicals, and then it comes out on the other side. Or you can teabag the receiving still, or the receiving pot, right?
The receiver.
So that's kind of three basic ways you can do it, or a combination of all three. Most distilleries use all three, right? Depending on which botanical they're talking about. Some don't mind being heated. Some definitely don't want to be heated. Some definitely don't want to. I don't know. And depending on how much juniper flavor you want or not, and this and that. So Hendrix is one of my favorite. You don't like this one as much?
No, I like this one better.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. My my squinch was more trying to identify what it was that I was smelling and tasting.
Yeah.
Your description really is so true. There's so many more florals and citrus and
so they use
light notes.
They use 12. These guys use 5. 5 is the least I've heard of. Gordon's 5 is the least I've heard of.
I really find it interesting to try to smell and analyze it. I don't know that I could drink like a whole glass of it though.
Yeah.
Like that seems like just a lot.
I don't think it's that intense myself. I think it's maybe less intense than the Gordons, maybe even. But it's just a lot going on, I guess.
Yeah.
But they're all subtle flavor. I don't know. More isn't better. It's just what somebody came up with. They went through.
It's very elegant.
It took a couple years, I guess, for Hendrix. They're the modern day, like this gin is the modern day expression of like pure art in the gin world or whatever.
Wow.
They're the ones
art.
that invented like we're gonna get serious about nuances here.
Well, and the bottle, it looks like one of those 18th century medicinal, medicine bottles too.
Or almost an oil can. Or something. Say the name. Hendrix.
We've said it multiple times.
And then the last one I've got here is...
Nope.
Oh, sorry. The last one I've got here is this one.
You're making a mess, mister.
I know it. And it is Tumbleroot Distillery in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So this will be another one of those. Oh, and we didn't cut it open. Hold on.
Oh.
This is another one of like your vodka, your local vodka. This one is supposed to have a lot of local expression, including like sage and stuff. So they
actually have botanicals of sage. Teabagging it and then
yes,
or is it like the nuances of the water?
No, sage is an ingredient.
Okay,
literally sage is an ingredient, which so in theory I haven't tasted this one myself. I just wanted a local one hoping that it would, and then when she came back with Tumbleroot, I was like, I looked up the description, they said they do have sage, so it should, I don't know, but a lot, it should kind of taste place specific. I've had a few gins from New Mexico that did, and they're very, taste like the high desert to me. She's not convinced yet.
I can see how.
This has a tequila thing to it.
Yes.
That is crazy.
And I can see how, like, somebody that really loves,
On the nose, but not on the, on the palate
yeah,
too. But there's no agave.
no, but there's an
it might be
intensity there that is.
It might be the sage, or I don't know. There's a few
this
things.
embodies to me what gin lovers love to talk about and are like, yeah, that's amazing. And this is the one that I'm like, please don't give that to me. I have burning. I didn't have that on any of the others on the front of my tongue. It's very intense, and I think those aromatics are probably something that you would love as a gin lover, but that took it too far for me.
It's not as subtle as these other two for sure.
But maybe like vodka, where they're trying to take a step further.
Yep.
Maybe that's what they're doing with gins too.
Right.
I don't know.
Did you like the Jennifer that we had in Amsterdam?
I didn't really particularly like that, no. And
I didn't either.
I was like, am I supposed to? I was like, ew, that was awful.
Basically, all gins, I guess, come from Jennifer, which is a different way. So they do a mash where they soak the grains. The grains actually sprout.
Whoa.
And then they ferment it all, and it's kind of like actually a bourbon in that way.
Yeah, it was very bourbon-like, and as we know, I can't do this.
And then it goes through, and it's not necessarily juniper-y either. So like if it was juniper-y, I probably would have loved it more than I did. But to me, I didn't get enough chance. I mean, we only tasted the 2 or 3 that one distillery had, and
the oldest distillery in Amsterdam. So we do have some questions, but we are running really long. So we're going to have to
Sorry. Go ahead.
I thought this was very interesting, so I wasn't hurrying us.
It was interesting for me, but hopefully it was for you guys.
I think so. People really wanted to learn about it. So,
yeah.
All right, the first one is, what's your favorite gin or vodka drink recipe?
Ooh, you go.
One of the easiest is just a lime or an olive, done, or a cucumber. Super easy. If I'm combining a cucumber, a jalapeno, and a lime, that's one of my favorite combinations. So
yeah, and then nothing can beat a Bloody Mary, but I like it better with gin than I do vodka, and then I like it even better than that with tequila. So
yeah, I know you have a very intense palate for like.
I like the suffer,
You know what's interesting is that I can't do a shot of vodka or gin, but I can do a shot of tequila.
I can't do a shot of whiskey, and I can but I can do a shot of tequila.
Well, I don't know.
So yeah.
Who wants to like?
I don't know.
Have a giant Band-Aid in your mouth.
Okay.
Those are good options. What are some good gin or vodka pairings? Of course, the classic is vodka and caviar.
Ooh.
Yeah, so...
What about gin pairings? I don't know. Do you know of any?
The sink?
Surely there are. I just don't.
Right, so it goes great with olives. So I would think, that maybe if you did like a tapenade, where you had
gin and a tapenade.
Yeah, appetizers. Like you could do a little crostini with an olive tapenade, and then you have your gin. Be like a martini meal.
I usually
Somebody
drink it
try
after.
it.
I usually do it after dinner. I don't know why. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of people do, right?
Right.
All right. What is the craziest night you've had on gin or vodka?
Lave, no way.
Nice. That was an awesome response.
No way. I would never admit to the
I'm not going to share details,
shenanigans.
but I do have to say that one of the most hilarious, way too much vodka was with Julie. It was the night before her bachelorette party that I was throwing her kicked off. was her and I. We were had a date on the town, and she brought a bottle of Deep Eddy vodka. So if you haven't had this,
that's what you got in your glass,
right? It is
right?
a flavored vodka, and so it is distilled 10 times. It's from Texas as well. They really take pride in the base vodka, and then they add actual grapefruit, the actual pink grapefruit juice squeezed in. So it really does taste like pink grapefruit, or as Jesse was saying, pink lemonade. But it's, I think, really delicious, and it's so mistakenly easy that you drink the whole bottle, and then you go out on the town in Las Vegas, and it was a lot of fun. But I highly recommend if you want an infused vodka. Which I was going to ask you. Okay, so what's the difference between an infused vodka and a gin? If you're adding lavender, for example, Rolling Still's really well known for their lavender.
And there's so many infused vodkas these days, and there's not a ton of difference. It's a fine line. Usually, an infused vodka is going to be kind of simpler, kind of more purpose-driven.
Just that one flavor.
Yeah, exactly. So the gin is designed to be a complex, cohesive one thing. I don't know. I mean, like in a weird way, like a wine or something like that. But it's even though some of those things are infused after the fact, after the last distillation. So like rose petals aren't going to survive a distillation.
Totally.
They don't want to be baked up here in the gin basket. So like that if they have rose petals, for sure that was an infusion after the fact.
That's interesting.
There's not 100%, and that is a debate that's going on actually.
Okay.
So.
Wow. I like this Deep Eddy a lot.
Yeah. But the definition of gin in America anyway is a strong. I think it's. I don't have the exact terminology or whatever, but it's supposed to be the main thing you taste is going to be juniper berries. So if it does not have that strong backbone of juniper berries, you're out as a gin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. All right. And the final question is: have you guys considered having a distillery too?
Yes, we have considered it lots of times, and we would love to in lots of ways, but I don't think it just seems like a lot of work for the amount of money that, even if you're selling them at $100 a bottle, I don't see how we make as good a money as we can make this way.
One of the things I did read about was that distilling wine that is not going to be used in another purpose.
So grappa, pisco, or brandy.
And making a vodka out of it.
Yeah.
That it has more viscosity, softer palate, and a naturally sweeter undertone than most of your vodkas out on the market. And there's a lot of wineries that are starting to distill because, one, they can reuse something that they wouldn't sell otherwise.
Yep.
And two, it's such a niche component to this. And had you actually tried your hand at making a vodka from, say, a wine of yours, I'm pretty sure it would have been my favorite, and I would have drank all the bottles that we had of it. Ching ching.
Ching ching. We're
if that had happened.
Yeah, if we were to do that, we don't officially distill anything, but basically we love experimenting with stuff. So if you know us, come hit us up.
There's no more. I drink it all. Sorry. I mean, I had, if that had happened. All right. We got to wrap up, you guys. This was super fun. Hopefully it was fun for you. And next week, we're going to work on blends. We're going to talk about wine blends and the world of blending wine. Yes.
So back to watching coverage of the Queen of England died today. I don't know if you guys heard, probably by now. But yeah, we're watching coverage of that, and it's sad and cool, and a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And then NFL.
Kickoff, yeah.
Starts tonight too. So anyway, enjoy you guys. Happy drinking. Cheers.